The last time I had short hair, I had the Bieber cut. So I'm obviously not doing that again.
I didn't know if you're going to go Morgan Wallen on us or not.
I mean, I could shut down the mullet game if I really wanted to. I
I
could
rem-
absolutely annihilate it.
I remember when Harbin was younger in the youth basketball league. He had the little Bieber cut going on. I remember that.
Absolutely. I had it for a long time.
Well, we'll go ahead and get right into it. It's been several weeks since we've been on the air, and so we're not going to talk the whole time about Harbin's hair. He still has, for those listening, he still has his long, luscious locks attached to his head, and he told me back at a tailgate earlier in the year that he was thinking about getting his ears lowered, but we're in January. He's still not done it, so I don't think it'll happen, will it, Harbin?
It will eventually. I don't know if this is the year, but it could be. It's kind of like Cowboys, This year's the year.
I think the best part of you saying that was when we were on the golf trip and we're eating. I think it was on Saturday night, and we're eating at the Mexican restaurant. And you said, "Yeah, I probably ought to get my hair cut so I look like a respectable human being." And right to your left was Andrew Taylor, who also has long hair.
Yeah, that sounded like a major slight, and I meant no harm to him. But yeah, that was a little bit of a foot and mouth moment. But you live and you learn, you get better.
Yeah, well, it's happened to all of us. So it's been several weeks, like I said, since we've been here. What did you all do with your time away? Anything? Nothing? Traveled? I'll tell you what I did. I laid on the couch for 2 weeks because I was sick, so that was fun.
Watch Tennessee sports.
Yeah.
I got the flu and bronchitis around Christmas time, so I was down and out for a week and a half. Pretty much made a full recovery though, so we're good now.
Yeah, I had a upper respiratory thing, so I feel you.
I've been on since before Thanksgiving, I don't think, to be honest with you.
I don't remember.
I'm in new digs here. Got moved homes, upgraded a little bit. Enjoy the holidays with family.
Got Rooster, for those listening, he's got Rooster Cogburn behind him.
My God, very good.
The original Rooster Cogburn.
Yes, not the.
Both are good, but that one's better.
Both are good, but that's the John Wayne right there. Fill your hands. I bought that when I was like in the 4th grade, and the guy who I bought it from, it was like at the mall or something, one of those like just novelty shops or whatever. Back when there was a fly-by night at Easttown Mall around Christmas time, your John Deere store, your whatever, then they closed down like the 2nd week of January. He's like, "I'll give you 10% off if you can tell me what he says in that scene." And I looked around, like I said, I was like in the 4th grade, and I told him, and he was like, "I never would have thought in a million years somebody your age would know that." And I said, "I'm a John Wayne guy."
It's a great scene. For those that haven't watched it, go watch True Grit, the original with John Wayne, and the new one with
Jeff Bridges.
Yes, both very good.
Oh, that one is good.
Yeah, it's good. Haley Steinfeld's in it. Josh Allen's girlfriend.
The newest one with Jeff Bridges is actually more true to the book.
Yeah, that's what I've never read the book, but that's what I'd heard. So lots happened since we were gone. So let me recap it for you, Harbin, real quick, because I know you've been sick, so I don't know how much you've been paying attention. But Tennessee basketball picked up wins against Illinois, NC State since we recorded last. I'm not going to talk about John Tarleton State and Norfolk State. And we'll talk about the Ole Miss win later on, but back in December, a nice win over Illinois, who's top 10, top 15 type of team. So that was a nice win. Tennessee volleyball, the ladies advanced to the Sweet 16, lost to eventual national champion Texas, went to multiple match points. I don't know if y'all watched that. I think y'all were. That was really fun to watch. Volleyball is a good sport to watch. Good spectator sport. A lot of action, a lot of quick points, and it's easy to look at the participants.
Yes.
Female volleyball. I mean, maybe male if you're into that thing, but I don't know that we are on this podcast. But let's see. Football schedule was released. We'll talk about that, like the dates. We knew who we were playing, but we didn't know when, so we know that. And signing day happened for Tennessee. Early signing day. There's another signing day here in 2 or 3 weeks. I think Tennessee had a pretty decent class, filled some needs, missed on some things that we'll talk about later on. I know Day was jumping all over me about my concerns. And there was some concerns from some people on social media this afternoon because, and I hadn't seen this. I'd only seen the offensive tackle from LSU that was in the portal, but apparently there was an offensive tackle from Kansas that had entered the portal, and I totally missed it. But he chose Texas A&M here on Sunday afternoon, and of course there was a meltdown going on by a portion of the.
Is that the one that has the baby on the way? That the baby's going to be born in Texas?
Oh, I haven't. I don't know. I had never heard of this guy. I didn't know he was even in the
I
portal.
don't know which one you're talking about. So
it's
one that has a child.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look up his name when we get into it. But there was a guy from Kansas.
I just saw it on VolQuest.
Yeah, I somehow missed that one. But I know there's the guy from LSU who's in the portal. They're all left.
That one would be really nice.
That would be nice to have. But I think he was in town this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure.
I can't keep up with it though. I talked to a football player and I was like, "Why aren't you at the facility recruiting?" He's like, "I don't do that."
Well, I mean, it's crazy because there's the early signing day. They've got bowl prep, and then there's the signing, the normal, the old school signing day, first Wednesday in February.
Still got another one.
They've got another one, and then there's probably going to be some that carry on into the summer with guys. So I mean, it's like a never-ending battle, which I think I texted you all a while back. This new college football, I'm not talking about necessarily the product on the field, but the behind the scenes, the business side of it. It's not good anymore. I'm sorry, it's not. I may just sound like an old fart, but this NIL stuff is getting out of control. The constantly transferring is out of control. I mean, there was a basketball player. I can't remember what game I think it was the Kentucky game. He's at his 4th school in like 4 or 5 years. Like, what is going on?
The COVID year just made everything worse too.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even do this in professional sports.
That's what I'm saying. This is not even free agency in pro sports.
You got to figure out a way to, I mean, you got revenue share somehow. I mean, it's not going to be the level of pro sports, but you have to, or you're going to have this the entire time.
We talked about it, and I think it was me and Niece. We're talking about how Nico made more money this year than Brock Purdy did. He's, in the hunt for a Super Bowl this year. So it's just kind of ridiculous. We knew that the rich were going to get richer. We knew, this stuff's been going on for years. So let's not act like it's something new. The top 7 stud players on each college team had a mailbox full of money or whatever it was. Somebody got a job, somebody got a house, mama got a house. It's always went on, but they just can't police it now. And I honestly think you should be able to get one transfer without being punished, unless a coach gets fired or a coach leaves or something like that. I think that makes the most sense. But it's too much right now.
Yeah, well, they don't have anybody to oversee it. It's just there's nothing. There's no oversight at all of it. The NCAA tries to, but their hands are tied a lot of the times. But it's definitely not our father's college football, college sports. To be honest, it's not just football.
I'm curious to see how long the NCAA even has a say in this stuff anymore. Because next year when Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC, how much money the SEC is going to be worth. I mean, if there is something that needs to be regulated, I mean, when will the SEC just say, "Hey, we got it"? You know, you little peons, go over there and take care of the ACC and the Big Ten. You know, this is big boy football around here. We don't need your help.
Well, I think what you might see at some point is like a commissioner over the Power Five, and then the others will go there. I'm not saying the group of five goes away, or not even. It's not Power Five anymore. It's Power Four.
Yeah.
Pac-12's gone.
Did you?
It's going to eventually be just two conferences, and then they'll end up doing the winner of each one plays each other like Super Bowl style. That's what it's eventually.
No. You can't do it like that. You got to have a playoff.
Well, or I mean, like it's just going to be two power conferences of about probably 30.
Yeah, I agree with the two power conferences. I'm just saying you got to have a system to get to two. You can't just have because this one won. They played for a championship.
Well, you can do a playoff out of both.
Well, essentially, what I meant was about probably 8 teams from each conference are going to be are like it's going to be like 16-team playoff ish. There's going to be 8 from one side, 8 from the other, and then the winner of each side's going to play each other. That's what I meant. Yeah, so that's kind of where I see it going. Maybe not the near future, but that's what the future is going to look like.
Who did you hear? Who's UCLA's head coach? Used to be
Chip
Oregon.
Kelly. Chip Kelly.
Did you hear his like what he proposed or whatever?
Yes, I don't remember it exactly, but I agreed with damn near everything.
Yeah, it was. And like he made a joke. He's like, I haven't really thought about this before, but you know, if you put me on the spot, and he just like goes on a 5-minute rant of how it should be done, and it sounded good, at least.
Yeah,
I think whatever happens, it's going to be coaches, the big money sponsors, and bowl games that are going to decide. It ain't going to be NCAA.
Right.
No. Well, the NCAA doesn't really have anything to do with football anyway.
Not anymore.
I mean, they still have power over it, unfortunately.
They punish it. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
which is stupid.
Yeah. So the Vols weren't in a playoff, but they were in what some consider probably outside of the playoffs and New Year's Six, probably the most prestigious bowl game. Maybe. I don't know.
I would think so. I mean, it's on Jan 1.
It's a January 1st. I used to think it was it in the Outback Bowl. And I'm not sure the Outback Bowl draws as good as the Citrus Bowl does anymore, as far as I don't know. I think it's those.
They changed the name.
Yeah, I think it's those two since they went.
Well, no, they didn't change the name.
Yeah, it's the ReliQuest Bowl.
Yeah, they did change the name. That's right.
It's because I had to look. I didn't know what that bowl was.
That doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Outback.
No, but it used to be the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame game, and Harbin, there's this trend going around, and this for people viewing on. Sorry, for people listening on. I'm trying to minimize my screen here. For people listening on the audio version, I'm trying to share a picture on the video version, and I'll import it in here if it doesn't look all right. They say white people don't have drip, Harbin. And let me share the screen so y'all can see it. Well, if that's true, oh gosh, what is this thing doing? Sorry. Well, I can't do it. I'll put it on the screen. Anyways, it's a picture of Philip Fulmer after the 1994 Gator Bowl. He's got a mock turtleneck on with a windbreaker that zips up, and he has it tucked into his khakis with a white Tennessee hat that says Tennessee on it with Vols going vertically on both sides. I'll send this to y'all to see if you can see it. That is white people do have drip, Harbin. I mean, you're case in point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, some would call it a fashionista. I would like to use a different term for it. But
I can't.
What you're verbally describing reminds me of a picture that I saw on the X a few days ago
I think this is where I found it.
Because where he found it.
It was a 90s playoff game. I believe it was Don Shula's last game, and it was against the Bills. And I think was the other coach Bill Parcells, or
Bills and who?
it was Dolphins.
Probably Marv Levy.
Either way, it don't matter. But like the whole thing was great. Like starter jackets, starter turtleneck, the old snapbacks, the great hats of the '90s, and then the advertisements on the video board were Marlboro and Miller Genuine Draft, and it was incredible.
That's the picture and I'll put it on the screen, but just so you all can see it, that's the picture. It's incredible. And I'll tell you one thing before we get into Citrus Bowl here. The Dolphins and Bills are playing right now, and I hate the Dolphins' new logo and uniforms. But a couple weeks ago, they wore their 1984 jersey.
Throwback.
They are so good. They're the best uniform I think I've ever seen. I'm sorry, they're incredible.
I think it was the Cowboys game that they wore those.
Yes, and the Cowboys wore their white helmets with the all white. They were great, and you can play with those uniforms on Madden because I was playing my little cousin at Christmas time, and I was the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So, speaking of awesome uniforms, Tennessee wore orange jerseys, white pants, like they should, and took down. Taken down is probably not the right use of words there. Pummeled, decimated the Iowa Hawkeyes 35-0. I practiced this. Let me see if I get it right. Nico Maliava. I think I said it right. 15 of 29, 151. I didn't say it right.
No.
You butchered it.
Starts with an E.
Maliava.
Just call him Nico, okay?
I'm pretty sure that I'm close to right if I'm not right, but
I think it's Iyamaleava. Or no, I messed it up too, I think.
Oh, well, we'll figure it out between now and September.
I watched the video, and it definitely was neither one.
Well, I can't help it. I'm from Mascot. I can't help it. Whatever. Nico was 15 of 29 passing, 151 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 12 carries, 51 yards, 3 TDs. I'll just recap the stats real quick. Dylan Sampson, 20 carries, 133 yards. James Pierce, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, interception, touchdown return on the interception. Andre Tarrantine, transfer from Ohio State, had an interception and 3 tackles, and I think 3 pass breakups. This was Tennessee's 20th win in the last 2 years, first time since 03-04 they've done that. And the first time we've won back-to-back bowl games since 15-16 season when we won the Gator Bowl and then the Outback Bowl. Gator Bowl against Iowa, Outback Bowl against Northwestern. And I think the last time before that was probably in the 90s when we won back-to-back bowl games. So a lot of gaps in there that are being filled in with success here recently under Heupel. I'll get your thoughts on Nico real quick, but my thoughts are he wasn't necessarily very explosive passing the football, but I thought he managed the game well. The game didn't look too fast for him. It looked like he was just playing football in high school. Again, I mean, I think I put 15 to 29. I don't remember him throwing that many passes. I think it was 12 and 19. I think I've butchered that number, but
yeah, it was 19.
Yeah, I think it's 12 and 19. I don't know where I got 15 to 29 from, but I thought he played really well, did a lot of good things. He had 4 total touchdowns, 3 rushing. 2 of those were near the goal line. The other one was, I think, about a 15, 20-yard quarterback draw. Great block by Dylan Sampson. But what was your all's thoughts on the bowl game? Anybody? I don't care who goes.
I'll go last.
The fact that Iowa played in a Power 5 conference championship game is a travesty. The Big Ten West is now dead. It will be missed because those games were just hilarious. But that offense is atrocious. But I'm not taking anything away from us. I thought we played really well. Obviously, you win 35-0 against a 10-win team. You're going to take that every single time. I thought Nico played well. There's some things that he's going to work on. He's going to get better at. You could just tell that it was his first ever start. Like, he took a few sacks where I think he just should have just thrown the ball away. But the future's bright, man. I thought he looked really good. Iowa gave up 4 rushing touchdowns all year, and he had 3 against them. So I thought that stat was pretty good. But yeah, we've kind of made a habit out of kicking the shit out of Big Ten teams in bowl games over the last 10 years, outside of that screw job in Nashville. Yeah, that's about all I got.
Big Montana.
What up, y'all? I'm Nico Era Has and the correct way to pronounce my last name is Ia Maleava.
Ia Maleava. That's what I said.
Huh.
The second time I said Ia Maleava. Did I not?
I think so.
No,
I'm going to stick.
It was more of an
I'm going to stick with the Polynesian Playboy. It's exactly what he is.
So
I think me and Harb coined that phrase.
you did
a few months ago. Trademark. Anyway, I think Nico was the best athlete on the field. I think he made the game. The offense just looked totally different. I mean, like you said, the game didn't look too fast for him. He steps up in the pocket, moves in the pocket, he's got eyes in the back of his head. He just looked so good. He did get sacked twice, and I was disappointed in that. He didn't need to throw the ball away. I don't think he really forced anything. I forget who the receiver was, but it was before the half, and he dropped in there on the sidelines. It's an NFL throw. And then Keaton dropped just a beautiful pass. It should have been for a touchdown. Keaton dropped it, which would have gave him 5 touchdowns.
5 total,
yeah, 5 total.
Well, didn't we score on that drive anyway? Didn't he score on that drive?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But I'm not going to sit here and blast Milton. It's just, I don't know. I just don't like the way things played out. I've even said this in like high school sports or something, and I understand that emotions play into it and relationships play into it, but there's not a talent drop off from a 6-year senior to a freshman playing his first game. You can even argue that he's better. That's my personal opinion. Get you a cup of coffee. I really wish he got more experience this year. I don't know. We've joked about it and said so much shit. I can't remember which side I'm on anymore. But I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for next year. I'm excited. Sorry, I was watching this Buffalo game. I'm excited for next year. We're going to have a really good receiving room. Running backs seem to be there too. If our offensive line can hold up, I think our offense is going to be a top 5 offense in the country. I mean, they're going to be running. It was so nice to see us play a little bit faster, and I think that, it's not as fast as where it's going to be. I mean, when this guy's got 10 games under his belt, they're going to be moving. And if you're a 5-star wide receiver in the next 3 years, why in the world would you not want to come to Tennessee? It's going to be an embarrassment of riches, I think.
By the way, Day Vol pointed it out. You couldn't see him, but Nico was sacked 6 times. It was one guy had 4 sacks.
Yeah, one guy by himself.
Offensive line was makeshift for that game.
Yeah,
I mean, it was.
It's going to be makeshift for next year, right?
Yeah, it's. Don't get me started. Can I bring up? Can I ask?
Can I give my opinion?
Go ahead.
About
Sorry.
Nico?
I'm sorry. I forgot about you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I mean, I want to
Sad.
start things off that he overthrows just like Joe. No, it's fine. Keaton pulled up on that route, whether it was sun or whatever. Beautiful throw.
Yeah, how do you drop a pass like that and then
Well, he
catch
didn't
that
drop
one
it.
on the sideline?
He didn't drop that one. It just went and hit in the end zone. The one he dropped was the slant across the middle.
He
I,
stopped running.
I
He stopped running.
understand that,
But yeah, he makes the catch on the sideline. Bottom line is he's making NFL throws, even though he threw 19 balls. The most impressive throw, and I was watching some YouTube video, some guy was talking about it. There's two guys converging on him. Samson was sliding out. Nico throws it across the field, cross body, and it lands maybe 2 feet in front of whatever receiver it was. It's like if that receiver would have came 2 inches, it was a touchdown. But he shouldn't. There's no business getting the ball close to where that guy was. It was just his instincts. He's like, I know somebody's going to be over there. Chucked it. That's the big thing that stood out to me. He has instincts. Joe had all the tools. I don't think he has those just instincts, basically. I mean, Nico knew when to run. He held the ball a couple times, but outside of that, he was freshman mistakes, you want to call them, whatever. He's going to be fine. We just got to protect.
So I hear this a lot, not just from Big Montana, but you see it elsewhere that Tennessee doesn't play as fast. They're too slow. Do you know that Tennessee was the 4th fastest team in college football this year, correct?
Should have been the first fastest.
So what were we last year?
We were actually slower in the Iowa game, but
We were
I think
second.
that was by design.
We were second last year at, let's see, it was 20 a play every 20.2 seconds in 22-23, and in 23-24 we were actually faster, 21.2, but we were 4th in the country.
That's slower.
We also
slower. Sorry.
We also scored points.
That's the difference.
That was the difference in our offense. We
red
did not
zone
kick field goals.
We had a quarterback.
It was red zone touchdown.
When's it hard for a quarterback to score a touchdown? Inside the 20. And when do you have to think the most? Inside the 20.
When he sucks.
That was the difference. That was the difference. I'm not saying
that...
Nico would have gave us a better record because I don't think he would have. I mean, it is what it is. He would have made freshman mistakes and we'd have end up with the same record. But it'd have been kind of fun at times.
No, I
8-4 would have felt better. How about that?
Yeah, well, it would have been different. I mean, with the
I would have taken 7-5 with Nico getting reps over 8-4 with Milton every day of the week.
So you would rather have us?
I would rather go 7-5 and lost to South Carolina or Kentucky, and for him to get meaningful game reps to next year to where we walk into the playoff. Because I'm glad we won that bowl game. I'm glad we won the games we won, but like if we lost to Kentucky this year, or we lost to South Carolina this year, we'd already be over it. And we would have went to what bowl we went to? Music City? Like it
maybe.
I mean, it's one game.
But it's a game. I mean, it's a you get more money. We got more money for going to the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, but what's that money doing? I really want to know what's that money doing for us? Can't buy players with it.
Not recruiting offensive linemen.
Not recruiting offensive linemen. So I mean, is it really that big of a deal? Because all the ticket prices are up.
Josh Heupel is obviously been listening to Dave Ramsey. He's paying off all his the smallest debt to the biggest debt right now. He's sold his finance car. He's got a used one he's paying on, or he's paid for with cash. So just, hey, listen, we're baby steps right now, guys.
So I ask you all this, and let's make it quick before we get into our next segment. Let me pull it back up here. So I sent this the other day. I actually changed one of them. The 2023 season, I put, what were your good wins? What were your bad losses? I think I put biggest regret, but I think I meant what was the biggest disappointment in your eyes this season and the biggest surprise. I'll give you mine, and then we'll start with Day. My good wins were Texas A&M, Kentucky, and Iowa, even though they sucked, but they were a ranked team from a Power 5 conference. A bad loss, this is obvious, is Florida. That was a terrible loss. Shouldn't have happened. It was awful all the way around. We talked about it at nausea on here. My biggest disappointment in the season was the losses at Florida and Alabama. I think we blew opportunities in those games. The loss at Florida, like I said, we just played terribly. The loss at Alabama, you couldn't have played better in the first half, and you couldn't have played any worse in the second half on both sides of the football. It was terrible. And those are two losses that if you had those games back, where's Tennessee? Are they in a conversation for a New Year's Six ball? I'm not saying they go to the playoffs, but you take those two losses out of the equation, they're 10-2 going into the end of the season. My biggest surprise was a player, James Pierce Jr. That guy had a phenomenal season just out of nowhere. I don't think any of us talked about that guy. I'd heard a little bit about him coming into the season, but he wasn't on my radar as far as defensive linemen go. I think that was Joshua Josephs, because I thought he had a pretty good freshman year in 22, but he did not have the season this year that I thought he would have had, but James Pierce was incredible. So Day, what's your good wins, bad losses, biggest disappointment, biggest surprise?
Good win. I mean, you gotta say Iowa because you beat Tim win team, even though it's trash. Probably Texas A&M. Can't count Kentucky as a good win. Sorry. That's probably my only two good wins. Worst loss, Florida by a wide margin. They pissed that game away. And Missouri, I think that was a bad one. Not because I don't think Missouri was good, but you had the upper hand on them. Felt like and you went out and laid an offensive egg. Everybody wants to complain about the defense, but you scored 7 points. That's terrible. You've been putting up 60 against them. Couldn't muster 21 something. It's just a really bad loss. Biggest surprise was Keaton. His drop off, whether it was he had too much, that was too much for him, or it just one of those, it just had a bad year. That happens too. I guess a positive surprise would be Haddon, how dominant he was until he got hurt.
Yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about him. You're right. Big Montana, what do you got?
The worst loss, Florida. We're way better than Florida. Have been a lot of the times we've lost to them. Biggest regret was the Bama game. We did play great in the first half. Those two drives we set up for field goals. If you score touchdowns in that game, Bama could come out in the second half and just quit. I mean, you go in down what would have been 24, 28.
It could have been, let's see, 14, 21. Yeah, it could have been 28.
What it was. It would have been 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, because we waxed them in the first half, and you know how teams are. They go in there and think about it. It happens all the time. They come out and then nothing changes. But we gave them a little bit of hope, and I hate that about this year. Almost, I wouldn't say more than Florida, but it's up there. And Missouri, we shouldn't lose to Missouri in anything. Piss on Missouri. That was an embarrassment. I don't understand that at all. Who's our center? Mays. He was my biggest. The surprise was he meant so much to a game plan, and you really wouldn't think that he would. Obviously, but the drop off between him and whoever was replacing him was that great that we struggled a lot in the beginning of the season when he was hurt. Keaton's drop off this year, didn't really understand that much. I don't know. Those are mine. Did I miss something?
No, you're good. Harbin, what do you got?
All right. Wins. We'll go Iowa and A&M. I would like to include Kentucky and South Carolina, but like Davey said, those programs are not worthy of that. To switch it up, I'm gonna go with worst loss was Missouri. Everybody said Florida. I'm gonna go with the Missouri game. Still had a chance to go 9-3, which some of y'all think there's no difference between 8-4 and 9-3, but in my opinion, there is.
I mean, you're a 10-win team with the bowl win, so there's a difference.
Exactly. Yeah, it could have been back-to-back years that we had double-digit wins.
I said 8-4, 7-5, not 8-4.
I understand that, but in a bridge year, you get 10 wins. That would have been absolutely huge, just optics-wise.
Yep.
That game was a 50-50 game to me, and I think we lost it at halftime. We were driving. We ended up fumbling. We let them get 3 more, and that kind of felt like the dagger.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Biggest disappointment or regret is the Alabama game. You're up 2 possessions at the half, 2 touchdowns, and you have a chance to beat Bama 2 years in a row and end their season essentially. Keep them out of the playoff, obviously, and then you just completely abandon what was working in the first half. Then make no adjustments on defense when they adjust on offense. That one was really disappointing. And surprises, I'm going to try to go a little different than y'all did just for content's sake. Not necessarily a surprise, but I'm going to go with Jalen Wright. Like that dude was very, very good this season. I think he exceeded expectations. So I'll say him as a surprise. And then for defense, and then bad surprise was Keaton. That's one of the biggest drop offs I've ever seen out of a wide receiver. Just to be honest with you. And on the defensive side of the ball, Kamal Hadden and James Pierce Jr. for sure. Kamal Hadden's character arc was a sight to see. I hate that he got hurt. James Pierce Jr. came out of nowhere and was an absolute dog. So. Those are mine.
Speaking of the 2024 season, we're going to move on to
February 29th, by the way.
Season tickets are February 29th is for the returning people, Harbin, but
leap year.
It is a leap year. It is a leap year. That's right. So they posted the 2024, the actual dates that we play everybody this year, and so I'll post this on the video version, but I'll read it for the people who are driving or working and listening to us. August 31st, Chattanooga and Knoxville. Moccasins are heading north on 75. September 7th, got NC State and Charlotte. September 14th, Kent State, Knoxville. First SEC game is September 21st at Oklahoma. October 5th, and on the screen, you all won't see this, but you will if you're watching. I put a YY8 logo next to the schedule, next to this game on the schedule, but it's at Arkansas in Fayetteville. And I think there's a lot of people going to this game that listen to us. Even Big Montana and I talked about it during the bowl game. Harbin, you need to go make plans. I know there's several from the Skybox planning on going, and several other people I know planning on going. And it's a stadium I've got to go to because it's one I've never been to in the SEC. I've got Arkansas, Mississippi State, and now Texas to get off the list. So plan on going to that one. And then we've got a long stretch, 4 games in a row at home. Prayers up to the groundskeeper there at Neyland Stadium. October, hopefully the weather's still good, but they're going to have their hands full. You got Florida, October 12th. Alabama, October 19th, Kentucky, November 2nd, Mississippi State, November 9th. So 4 straight home games. The bye game is between the Oklahoma, or one of our bye weeks is between Oklahoma and Arkansas. November 16th at Georgia, back home on November 23rd, final home game of the season against UTEP, and then finish out the season on the road at Vanderbilt November 30th. So, initial thoughts on the schedule. I was talking to John Doty, listener to the show, and my uncle Eric, and we, into the season this year, we weren't as, I guess, giddy, you might say, about next year, because we all talked about this year as a bridge season to next year. But I have some concerns about some depth at a couple of positions. One is offensive line, one is secondary. Now, I think the secondary played pretty well against Iowa, but that was against literally the worst
They
offense.
couldn't pass the ball.
Yeah.
That was the worst passing I've ever seen.
Their quarterback was terrible, by the way. He seriously looked like me in a football uniform. He was awful. I mean, he's terrible.
Tyree West, is that his name? Yeah. He said something. They were watching film and he thought it was a joke that was the quarterback.
I mean, he was he was literally throwing into double coverage. Like there was nobody on these guys. I don't know. And the other guy all he could do was run. I don't know if he could throw or not. He didn't really try, but that quarterback room in Iowa is a mess right now. But I initially went, like, at the end of this past season, I'm thinking about next year, and I'm like, can we win 7 games next year? Just with and this is before all the offensive linemen came back, but you just look at where we were at the end of the season with injuries, and it was rough. I mean, that Georgia and Missouri game, we had no answers for them, and I know they're good, but even with those guys out, I'm really concerned about not the number of players back there, but the players that are back there. They have no playing time. They're very young. And we talked about this through the season, where you had that year where everybody left after the Pruitt debacle, and it's starting to rear its ugly head a little bit. And we kind of knew this might come, but that's where we were hoping that the transfer portal might bridge some of that. But looking at this schedule with the guys that have come back, if Tennessee can keep it together, stay healthy, I think this team can win 8 or 9 games with this schedule. I mean, you got Chattanooga, Kent State, UTEP, Vandy. That's 4 automatic wins right there. And then I think Mississippi State's probably, a win for us. They're not very good. I think Arkansas could be a win for us. They're not great. I don't know enough about NC State yet to say whether that's a guaranteed win or trending toward a win, but
they just got that quarterback from Coastal that's been in college since I was in college.
About to say, that dude's been around for a while.
Who is this?
Grayson Call.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't consider Alabama or Georgia wins. I just won't until I see it happen more on a frequent basis. But I think Oklahoma's a winnable game, but it's on the road. This program under Heupel has not played well on the road. You got Florida at home.
You said Kentucky was a great win.
It was a good. I didn't say it was great. I said it was good. It was a good win. It was. I know it's Kentucky.
At home or on the road?
It was on the road, but we've talked about this. They've not played well on the road overall.
I know.
You know that. Come on. But you got Kentucky at home. I count that as probably a win. I don't know. You got Florida. I want to count it as a win because they're not good. That program is in rough shape, but we just got some kind of a mental block against us. It's like Kentucky against us. We just can't beat them. I don't know. What are your all's thoughts on the schedule next year? I think it can set up for us in a good way if things fall right for us.
I think this upcoming season, record-wise, is going to be very similar to this past year. I think we're going to have an opportunity to win around 10 games. But if we lose a 50-50 game and we maybe lay an egg, like, you're looking at 8-4. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. We'll see if we can improve on the road. Oklahoma don't really scare me, just to be 100% honest with you, especially with Gabriel darting to Oregon. but it is on the road, so we'll see. That place is gonna be rocking. I feel confident about the Florida game because it's at home. You said we have a mental block against them. I think it's a mental block there, personally. I don't know. Yeah, I think it can set up pretty well for us. We are going to have an opportunity to win 9 or 10 regular season games. I'd say the line will probably get set at about 8.5, and you can take whatever side you would like.
If you aren't winning 9-10 games, Nico's not the dude you thought he was. Because you gave him the tools. Got the running backs, got the wide receivers. Yes, I get the O-line's kind of iffy, but man, it was iffy with Hendon Hooker, and he won 10 games. Defense is better. Secondary is better just by letting those upperclassmen leave. That sounds awful, but it's true. And the defense, like Big Montana says, they're not there to keep you to 7, 10, 15 points. They're there to not let you score 30.
Score 45 and it don't matter. That's it. Everybody's up in arms about the Florida-Bama game being back-to-back. I personally like it because I think we do beat Florida, and I think our confidence is going to be at an all-time high after beating Florida. And you don't have the time to sit and think about it and wonder and go back and watch YouTube videos. Like, you're immediately – it's basically one big game. You're going Florida, Bama. You know, as soon as Florida game hits, 0, you're watching tape on Bama. You know, you're probably already been watching tape on Bama because they're probably not going to watch tape on anybody but Bama from the beginning of the season. That's just the way it is, and I kind of like it. So,
our second bye week, is it between Florida and Bama? It's close to that.
It's between Alabama and Kentucky.
Okay, so we get the bye week after.
Or Kentucky.
Heupel, that is one thing you can say. Heupel is really good in his career as a head coach off of bye weeks. So
it's incredible, is it not?
RIP Kentucky, back to the mines. Yeah, I don't know. I just looking at the schedule from a distance, I think it can be favorable for Tennessee. I think you're looking at 8 to 10 wins. I mean, if I had to sit here and look at it right now, I would count Chattanooga as wins. I would say, cautiously optimistic, Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, UTEP, Vandy. Oklahoma, I would say more of a toss-up. Bama, Georgia, I would count as losses. Who's going to be the surprise on the schedule this year?
Are we getting the Bama that we played this year, honestly?
I don't know. It depends.
Are they improving?
I mean, I don't know. Their quarterbacks.
I get that team was in the playoff, but that wasn't a playoff Bama team.
Georgia, I know Alabama beat Georgia, but Georgia is better than Alabama. I know it's tough to say.
No, Georgia's the best team in the nation still.
Yeah, they are.
I don't care what anybody says. They're the best. Yes,
Harbin, your hand is up. Yes.
I have a question. Will Nick Saban go and get over or under 2.5 centers in the transfer portal this winter? Did you see where that kid transferred literally the morning or he?
Yes, the next
15
day.
minutes after.
He was. The same night he was getting death threats.
Is Milroe QB1? I mean,
he's back.
Yeah, I know, but like, is he that dude? Yeah.
I mean, who else did they have? I don't know.
Took a miracle against Auburn.
Yep.
I mean,
it took us blowing it. Hell, if you think those two, they're 9-3.
Look at their games. They weren't Bama that I remember Nick Saban having. How about that?
Well, we talked about it preseason that quarterback position was an issue, and it was at the first half of the year. Now he got better as the year went along, and he was obviously their QB1.
Because they started letting him run and be a running back. He never made the throw that you needed to win a big game.
Right.
This may be partially.
And they beat Georgia, I get it, but he ran all over the place.
This may be partially Milroe's fault, maybe partially my own, but this was the first year in the Saban regime that I couldn't rattle off at least one or two of Alabama's wide receivers just like that. Like they have no big name guys. I mean, I may be ignorant to that, but
The
I mean,
only one I know is
Adrian,
Burton, and that's
well,
because
yeah,
he's
yeah,
Because he
but
punched
he's not big. I mean, he's not that
yeah. I
great.
mean, he's whatever. But I mean, like when you think about it, like Julio, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, like you can rattle off like 10 or 15 from the past decade. And this year, like you've got a guy that was scared of a damn sorority girl in Knoxville. That's not when you.
I was about to say the only reason I knew who Isaiah Burton is because he punched a sorority chick last
Well,
year.
his name's not Isaiah Burton, so that
Oh, hell, I don't even know what is his name.
I think it's Jermaine.
Jermaine, Isaiah, who cares?
I was going to say Trey. That's the one from Florida that
Trey
destroyed
Burton.
us. Golly.
I and Jay are next to each other in the alphabet.
Well, we'll have a lot of time this off season to discuss schedules but I was wanted to throw that out there that was released while we were on our little sabbatical over the holidays. But let's move on to more important things. Tennessee basketball, one of the best teams in the country. I say it all the time. They absolutely decimated Ole Miss Rebels yesterday. I tweeted that Ole Miss was mid, and Justin Grubb, listener to the show, tweeted back old mid. Great tweet. Or X, whatever you want to call it. But well, quickly, some highlights. Jonas Adu, outstanding, 24 points, 10 rebounds. Zakai Ziegler, also outstanding, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 4 of 11 from three-point range. Meshack, my favorite player on the team, 10 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. Tennessee out-rebounded Ole Miss by 23, 47-24, just dominated. They physically dominated Ole Miss. And Tennessee, after a slow start, I think they started out like 2 of 13, finished 11 of 30 from three-point range. And it was the 12th straight win in Thompson Bowling Arena, not the Food City Center. Day, you were there live in person.
I was there.
You still in your same seats?
Same seats.
Good seats, by the way. What was your thoughts? Atmosphere, you said, was good?
Atmosphere was fine. I mean, of course, people are going to complain about it, but it was fine.
Yeah,
it got rowdy when it needed to get rowdy.
Let's get on Twitter and complain about the people that are paying thousands of dollars for 100 level tickets that are sitting on their TV. That are sitting on their hands while they're at home.
Listening to Dane Bradshaw.
Losers. I was at home, by the way.
I'm not calling the Ole Miss frauds. They had some pieces. I like their big men overall. I mean, they got worked by Adu, which is nice. But somebody said it. I don't know where I even saw it or heard it. It was like, Adu's already played the best centers in the nation. You're not going to throw many more at him that are going to give him fits. And he just keeps getting better and better. People freak out about Connect not scoring a bunch. I think part of it is that was a serious injury, whether you want to believe it or not. But he's not touching the minutes because I don't think they want to give him the minutes. And then you get people that say, oh, they're trying to kill everybody and run their legs out. Well, you got your best player sitting on the bench, you know.
My favorite one, my favorite one is Barnes already ruined Connect.
Yeah. Got the knocked the offense out of him. No, I mean, he's still smooth. He's still doing all that stuff. He's now the focus. And guess who's getting to take over? Adu. Meshack's getting buckets. Ziegler is, I mean, he's back. That dude's back right now.
He's 100%.
You can tell that he stood in a gym and shot because he wasn't allowed to cut. And he just put up shot after shot because his 3-ball looks beautiful now.
Yeah, he's been good. What do you think, Harbin?
We're just good.
What?
Yeah. Hard-hitting analysis there.
Deep analysis.
I wouldn't call Ole Miss fraudulent. This was just their first test. They hadn't played anybody. I mean, yeah, 13-0 looks good on paper in January, but when you break down the schedule and you've played Mississippi School of the Blind and you've played
Northview Academy,
played Jackson Music,
Memphis Tech. They beat Memphis Tech.
He played Jackson Musical Institute and shit like that. I
Hey,
mean,
Day,
you
you weren't watching the game because you were there, but the announcer said Ole Miss beat Memphis, one of the best teams in the country. I said, "Excuse me, they're a good basketball team. They are not one of the best teams in the country. I'm sorry."
No,
No.
I don't.
It wasn't Dane
best.
Bradshaw that said that, by the way.
no, but like we're a wagon. Like no, like you start the game off 1 for 11 from 3. And I think we had 18 points at the 7-minute mark in the first half, and you end up dropping 90. And
Yeah.
people are going to find a way to bitch about the offense, which is just so funny to me. Because you scored quick math, you scored 72 points in 26 minutes. Like that's a lot. I don't know, man. We're rolling. We have the depth. We are sufficient at every single position. And it's gelling, you know. I think SEC play is going to be really fun. Do we still get? Is it 18 SEC games?
Yes.
Something like that.
Get 18. You are very seriously looking at it. I think if you get anything under 14 wins, it's a slight disappointment in SEC play at this point. I think you're looking at like 14 to 16 wins realistically. The Kentucky battles are going to be fun. Like I said last year, they're very good. Realistically, probably going to split with them. Auburn game's going to be fun. I don't want to look ahead too much, but we're looking very good. I mean, we're number 5. Has the new poll came out yet? I don't even know when basketball.
No,
I haven't. No, it usually comes out on Mondays.
Mondays, yeah. We're definitely gonna stay in the top 5. I don't think anybody in front of us lost.
Probably not.
I'm not getting wrapped up.
Kansas struggled, but you can't move in front of Kansas until they have a couple more losses.
Right.
At some point, I'm going to get you all to stop worrying about the AP and.
It's worthless. I don't worry about it.
Ken Palm and net is what you need to look at.
Ken Palm and net.
I'm
also,
not worried about rankings in January, and like Kentucky fans, you know, they're about
Triple J is playing like a 5-star, whether you want to admit it or not. That dude is balling right now.
Yes, he is. Walk on.
Yeah, walk on. That's all he needed was to be a walk on.
He had to get that edge back.
Big Montana, what do you think?
They look great. I think they're playing good basketball right now. I think playing the tournaments in the beginning of the year, even playing a tournament at all, just being in that type of atmosphere is good for your basketball team. I'm not worried about those 3 losses to the upper echelon of college basketball in January and December or November and December. I think they look good. I think they, I think they need to start fast. It was a concern them, starting out like they did, but they fixed it and erased all worries, to be honest with you. They all look good. I think Triple J looks great. Happy to see everybody getting involved. It's nice to see Adu get the minutes and get the the points that he's getting right now. One thing that's always been an Achilles heel to us is the droughts in the games. If we can get that fixed, then there's not a reason why they shouldn't be an Elite 8 Final Four team this year.
One thing I will say about the scoring droughts, which they're still there, but
they're not like they was.
No,
but yes, they're still there.
They're not as long as bad as they have been in the past. But I think the biggest thing with this is when we finally snap out of a drought this year, we kind of go nuclear. And used to, when we snapped out of a drought, we just kind of got like back on track. Like this year, it's like, damn, like like they figure it out and then they make up for it and then some, So that's kind of been something that I've noticed over the first couple of seasons.
Well, there's a huge difference in a 3-minute scoring drought versus a 5 or 6 minute scoring drought too. And that was something that really got them last year. What was the game this year when Barnes said, "I don't even know who my team is," or what game was that when we just got absolutely decimated?
It was probably the North Carolina game.
Yeah, I think it
Yes,
was North Carolina game.
Yeah. In the first half, he was like, I don't even know who these guys are right now. I really think that was probably the best thing that could happen to us, was kind of getting put on blast like that. Because, I mean, it's like, it's better to get it over with now than fix it than to let it happen in March or, when you're in the I won't say dog days, but the dog days of your season where you're playing every Tuesday night and Saturday. You had, time to fix it during the holidays and stuff. And it seems like they have. I mean, Ole Miss is going to be I think they're going to be a good team this year. I think their coach is a great coach. I think, they're going to make some noise and they're going to beat some Alabamas and Arkansas and Kentuckys just like we will, I think. So it's going to be fun to watch. The SEC there's 5 teams that can just take over, I think.
I think the UNC game, when you look at this team compared to where they were then, I don't think Ziegler was at where he's at now.
No.
Vescovy wasn't, and I think he even admitted it they were talking about it during the Norfolk State game, that I hadn't heard this until that game, that Vescovy apparently went to Rick Barnes and said after that game, he's like, "Hey, my mind's telling me to do this, but my body's not letting me do it." So he gave him like a week off or something like that. Because you think about it, and they were right, and I didn't think about this. He flew from where's he from? Argentina? Uruguay, sorry. He flew from Uruguay to Maui, and then from Maui back to Knoxville, and then they traveled to Chapel Hill back to Knoxville. So he had a lot of mileage on his body. So
playing sports,
I mean, I think
not drinking Mai Tais.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, you came back from a hard tournament, go to Chapel Hill from Maui.
Yeah.
And that's your
in
first
less than
game
a week.
back.
In less than a week.
Less than a week. I mean, it's hard. Like, I'm not giving, they're young, they can adapt and everything, but it's still hard to come back from Hawaii. It took me a little while to get adjusted, and we stayed in California for 3 days, and still coming back was rough.
You were on vacation.
Exactly. I wasn't down there working.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, no matter if you're 21 or 40, I mean, you don't just wake up and get right back at it. You're not Superman. I know these guys are in pretty good shape, but you could tell that North Carolina game, they came out flat. They looked like I think I texted y'all, looked like they were playing in the mud, and they did not look like that yesterday. I thought the last 2 games, even though it was Norfolk State, I thought the last 2 games, this has been the best this team has looked this year, and I hope it continues, because this is what they should look like every week, because they have that much talent on this team.
I am I'll call it anxious, but I am looking forward to seeing how this team kind of plays on the road, because we haven't. I mean, we've had 1 road game, and it was against a very good. What?
We've had 2.
We
went to Wisconsin.
Yeah,
beat them up there.
And Michigan State.
I know it was a long time ago, but I mean, we've had 2.
Yeah. Totally forgot about that Wisconsin game. So we've kind of seen 2 ends of the spectrum so far. We saw a really good win, really good performance, and then we saw us get dog walked. I mean, we came back a little bit, but it was too little too late. So
don't forget Michigan State.
That game didn't count.
It didn't count, but it was pretty much a regular game. They played it pretty straight up.
I mean, I understand.
Atmosphere-wise, yes. Because, I mean, that's what usually gets you when you go on the road is the atmosphere. So, yes, I'll count that part of it. But, like, run up and down the court. I mean, you're going to have a good atmosphere at Mississippi State. I don't know what Georgia's going to give you. But they're a better team than they were in the last 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, they got to go in knowing that, hey, we got number 5 on our ranking. They're going to play us like we're number 5.
Well, let's talk about
at Alabama.
I don't know.
We'd have to, wouldn't we?
I haven't looked that far ahead. I don't know. Well, let's talk
think
about
Alabama's very good. Knock on wood, though. We might change that later, but
let's talk about who we got this week. Vols are at Mississippi State. They go to the Hump on Wednesday, and then they're at Georgia on Saturday. So I'll put this on the screen for the viewers at home. Mississippi State lost this weekend to South Carolina. They're 11-3. They're number 33 in the net, number 31 in KenPom. Their best win is over Northwestern, who's 67 in KenPom. And their 3 losses are to Georgia Tech, South Carolina, and Southern. So not a good loss there. The FPI has Tennessee at a 60.5% chance to win. That went up almost 9 percentage points since before Saturday.
South Carolina's still dog shit too, are they not?
Yeah, they're playing.
They've only lost 1 game or 2 games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know who they played, but and then you've got Georgia. Danny White's brothers, the head coach. We're at Georgia this Saturday, 12 o'clock. Georgia's 11-3. They beat Missouri in their conference opener. Their net ranking's 83. Their KenPom ranking's 73. Their best win is over Steve Forbes' Wake Forest team. They're number 42 in KenPom, and their losses are to Oregon, Miami, and Providence. And FPI gives Tennessee a 73% chance to win this game. So 2 very winnable games, 2 games Tennessee should win, but they're going to be dogfights. No pun intended. I mean, this game's not going to be just a, hey, we're going to roll in here and win by 20. They may win by 20, but they're going to have to work for it because Georgia's better than they have been, I think. Mississippi State has maybe fallen off just a little, but according
I feel like they get their Mississippi State, that is, gets their big man back against us.
Oh, Joe New or Lulu Smith or whatever his name.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
I honestly think that you need these dog fights. I mean, I don't want to beat everybody by 20. I mean, I know it's fun and all that, but like when it comes down to it, we need to be battle tested. We need to come from behind and win some. We need to win by 5. We need to win by 11. No, you don't need to lose to anybody. I mean, obviously, that's not what you want to do. But we need to face some tests now because in March you want to be able to have that in your bag.
One thing to watch in this Mississippi State game Wednesday is rebounding. Tennessee's +6 on the boards. They're +7.3 on the boards. So 2 really good rebounding teams. Ole Miss was terrible. They were
really bad.
They were like,
one sequence from 4:40 to like 2 minutes. That was
5 or 6 rebounds.
That should never happen at
any level,
Division I level. Never.
I don't think it should happen at high school.
Yeah, that's true too.
Or a decent high school team. If it happens at Carter High School, I can promise you Tyler Cate is going to flip his lid.
I mean, I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah, Mississippi State's pretty good defensively, but they're not great offensively. But they can rebound, apparently. They're 35th in the country. Tennessee's 58th. So 2 pretty good rebounding teams going at it. I was looking
rebounds per game. 39.7 for us, 39.4 for them.
Yeah, and I was looking at Georgia. They are, I don't have theirs up here, but Ole Miss was number 253 in the country rebounding. I mean, Tennessee jumped up after the game yesterday. They jumped up over 30 spots in rebounds per game nationally. So it was a good win for the Vols yesterday. Do y'all think they
rebounded by South Carolina by a lot?
Y'all think we go 2-0 this week?
We should.
We should.
Harbin looks like he's sitting in the shadows back there. When you sit back, you cover your light up. You look like you're like sitting in the shadows.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Well, that's
they released the playoff times for NFL. If you want to talk about that,
we can very quickly because we're running out of time on this week's show. Harbin,
right.
We're almost out of time.
Saturday, Browns at Texans, 4:30. It's either going to be the Bills, Dolphins, or Steelers at the Chiefs on the Peacock Network only. at 8. Sunday is either the Steelers or Bills, at the Bills or Dolphins, depending on this game, at 1. Packers at Cowboys at 4:30. Rams at Lions at 8, which is going to be hysterical to watch, just because Stafford's going back to Detroit and Goff's going to be able to have some revenge. And then Monday, the Eagles at the Buccaneers at 8.
Who do the Cowboys lose to?
They don't lose to anybody because they win this playoff game at home, because we don't lose at home.
It is true. They played really well at home this year. So
I am very happy. I will say this because I am a very realistic Dallas Cowboys fan. I know there are some out there that are not. I am very happy that we are not playing the Rams and we are playing the Packers. The Rams beating the Niners today bumped them to Detroit, and that means we got Green Bay. Jordan Love has been balling, and we kind of struggle in man coverage a little bit, so that'll be interesting. However, I like our odds against a guy that's never been to the playoffs before versus a Super Bowl winning guy that has weapons around him that are figuring it out over the last month and a half.
well, I'll be pulling for you boys. I know it's been a long time. So
Watch party at your house
what time? When do they play?
Sunday at 4:30.
Let's see what's going on. We might have to do that.
Hmm.
Well, it's great to be back. I'm going to hit the road. It's late. I got to go to work tomorrow.
It's time
We
for bed.
got one more segment in us for our last show. I mean, for
No.
first back.
I know Day
No.
doesn't. If you all want to, if you and Big Montana want to come back, we'll do it.
What are we going to talk about? How Joe Milton's going to not get drafted?
I mean, we got to do haters and losers.
Yeah, we got to do haters and losers. So we will have a haters and losers segment. We always do. I mean,
I'm
got
going
my-
to bed.
Good
I'm
night.
old.
Day,
Good
you
night.
go to bed, get a good night's rest, okay?
I will. I got to get up at 5:45 for some basketball.
Don't roll your ankle.
Oh, shut up. That's awful.
I'm saying don't roll it. Like, be careful.
I know, but that's awful.
I don't want you to get
That's
hurt.
going to be in the back of my mind. I'm out of here.
Well, Big Montana, you got a Stanley?
It's a Stan. It's a knockoff.
Oh,
We ain't got that kind of money, niece.
I've got a knockoff, but mine's Lee.
It's a what?
I got an Ozark. It ain't
It's
a
a
Stanley.
Lee.
Though.
Yeah, so you got the Stan, and I got the Lee.
Heard that. I want to start carrying my old beat up like Stanley thermos that my papa. That's one of the things I inherited from my mom's dad. It's like the construction style Stanley.
Yeah.
I just want to start carrying that around, drinking ice water out of it like I'm somebody.
Is it green?
Oh yeah, it's like the baby shit green, Kool-Aid purple for a week green.
I don't know if it. I don't know what kind it is, but up at the farm we used to have this little thing. My Mimi would put water in for us when I was little. They would actually go out and do like work in tobacco and do hay and stuff. I'm just up there like cutting trees and weed eating and all that BS. But we used to have that thermos they'd carry around and put it on the back of the tractor. And I don't know what kind it is. It's like a brown and white or orange and white, maybe. I wonder if that's still up there. I need to look for that next time I'm up there.
My this is personal. My mama used to take this big 2-gallon igloo, like it wasn't like as big as the construction site, but it had like the push button spout on it or whatever. And we were cleaning their house out or cleaning the building out a few years ago. I kept it because it was just kind of sentimental to me, because we used to, for whatever reason, she liked the well water at home and didn't want to drink like the water up there. It's kind of water bottles were around, like water in a bottle was around, but like, they wouldn't spend money on water in a bottle when it come out of the faucet for free. Right. And, so she would take 2 gallons of water from home on like a camping trip. So we'd have good water. But that's what I carry in my mowing truck now. And, it hits different. That's for sure. It's a good drink of water.
That well water is different than like city water. It just
for sure.
is. It just we went to a well up at the farm, but they used to actually get it from there was a spring that fed my grandparents' house and my great grandfather's house.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, I don't know what it was, but it just tasted different even than well water at my parents' house, and definitely different than the water at my house. But it's
when I was a kid, we actually had a cistern, and it was like that. It's just a different taste, man. Kids these days don't know what it's
these
like.
kids just don't understand,
They,
Harbin.
they don't even drink their city water out of a water hose anymore.
Well,
That's the
what I was about to
problem.
say, but back when I was a kid, the most refreshing water came straight out of the hose.
That's the problem with a lot of these kids these days. They ain't had to drink water out of a water hose before. On a hot day, you're out working.
Wasn't allowed to come inside and get a drink.
I mean, even when the one year I tried to play football at Carter and I was going to summer workouts, they had that metal thing. I don't know what you even call it, and it would shoot water out like six different places, and that's what you drank out of.
Yeah.
Very
sanitary.
Yeah. And we're still here somehow. I don't know how. Haters and losers, who y'all got?
Go ahead. I got to figure it
out. I went back and forth because we've been gone a long time. And there's always so many options because
there's plenty out there.
Like we always say, the haters and losers, of which there are many, the bounds are plentiful. I'm gonna go with one that it concluded today. It's kind of went over the course of how long we've been out. I'm gonna go with today. My hater and loser is Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have no allegiance or any reason to dislike the Jaguars, and I don't dislike them. But I am going to point out that this is one of the worst collapses I have ever seen out of an NFL team to end the season. About a month and a half ago, they were 9-3, contending for essentially like they were fighting for like a 1 or 2 seed, and let's see here. They beat the Houston Texans on November 26th. That got them to 8-3, and the Texans were 6-5, and they had the head-to-head at the time. They were in the driver's seat. They had big things on their brain. To end the season, they then lose in overtime to the Jake Browning Cincinnati Bengals. They lose to the Joe Flacco Cleveland Browns, who are good, by the way.
What?
They get beat 23-7 by the Baltimore Ravens at home.
What?
They get beat 30-12 on Christmas Eve by Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What?
And then last week, they played essentially North Carolina State, the Carolina Panthers. They beat them 26-0. And then all they had to do was win today against the lifeless Tennessee Titans in Nashville to win the division, get a home game in the playoffs, and you lay the biggest egg of all time. Like, Tannehill's starting. Hell, they're trying to lose for a better draft pick, I think.
I wish they would have lost.
Right, yeah. I mean, y'all got a cool Derrick Henry moment out of it. Cool. But it was a win and end situation against a team that had literally nothing to play for, and you can't beat them.
I watched most of that game. The Titans were the better football team all day long.
Well, I mean, and you get down 1st and goal on the 2, and they stop you 4 straight times. If you can't go 6 feet in 4 plays to get into the playoffs, then you don't deserve to be there anyway. That's how
And
that's
they called a quarterback sneak with a quarterback who has an injured shoulder and an injured foot
to go over top of the pile.
to go over top.
Yes.
To reach over top of pile with said injured arm.
Which I love this. Objectively, Doug Peterson's pretty cool, but he is Philadelphia to me, and I hate Philadelphia about as much, more than anything in the NFL. So seeing that dumbass visor and Trevor Lawrence, he threw 12 picks in the last 5 games of the season.
Yeah, he was not good toward the last half of the season.
I saw a video of this guy talking about the Jags, and he said that if Trevor Lawrence wasn't billed as this generational talent coming out of college, that he would already be benched by now. And then directly after that, somebody put Trevor Lawrence's career stats side by side with one named Daniel Jones of the New York Football Giants, and they're damn near identical.
Really?
Plus, yeah, just
wow.
Yeah, like passing yards, touchdowns to interceptions, passer rating, win and loss record too, which is hilarious. Plus Daniel Jones pretty good runner, so he's got all those rushing yards against him. So and Daniel Jones is always made a meme. Like everybody just makes fun of him, this and that, but he has literally had statistically about the same damn career that Trevor Lawrence has. So for those reasons, Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, Calvin Ridley, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are my haters and losers of the week.
You got yours yet, Big Montana, or you want me to go?
I think we're going to have the same one, so I'll let you go first because I have 2.
Okay. Mine might be a little bit out there, but mine is from the NFL world.
Okay,
he's kind of a D-bag, and he's ran this franchise into the ground, but it's the owner of the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper, who was caught on video throwing drinks on fans at a game last week. Who were they playing? I don't even remember who it was.
The Jags.
It was the Jaguars. Okay. I don't know what happened, what led up to this, but whatever happened, he was so pissed off that he threw his mixed drink, not a Coke or a Dr. Pepper or a beer, a mixed drink, out of his suite onto the fans in the stands. What a D-bag move that was. And that guy
was in Jacksonville too.
Right. It was on the road. It wasn't at Bank of America in Charlotte. That franchise is a total joke right now. I kind of feel sorry for my friends that are Panthers fans that listen to this show, which there are a few on here, and they're pathetic. I thought the Titans were bad. They're even worse. I mean, the Titans beat them this year, so that's my hater and loser. David Tepper, Carolina Panthers owner. And by the way, that I was wanting the Titans to lose, but I'm glad they sent King Derrick Henry out on a good note. That guy, I know he's from Bama, but I love watching that guy run. There's many Sundays I'll go over to my parents and eat lunch, and Titans game, they always play at 1 most of the time, and me and my dad will sit there and watch the game. And my dad thought, it was like, man, I love watching that guy run the football. He is so good, even at age 30 now, 8 years in. It showed today he's still one of the best in the league. I don't know that the Titans will bring him back, and I don't know that they should if they're wanting to, rebuild and kind of start over. But he has been one of the best in the league, and yeah, he's fun to watch. I hate it because he's from Alabama, but he's good. So
I saw a really cool video today after their game. In his press conference, he thanked everybody that worked by name in every single department, from maintenance to the kitchen crew to the damn social media guy and the photographer. And he named them all by name. And like, you can just tell that he's a guy that like you want around. Like if you have a franchise, like and you can tell he was raised right, and he's extremely humble. which
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that we're talking about how impressive this is, because it should be the norm, in my opinion. Like the bar has gotten fairly low, but it is refreshing when you see a guy that has literally everything, and he's thanking people that probably make about $18 an hour.
Right.
And he might just think, he's like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, but like for 90% of those people, like that's like the coolest thing that's happened for them in a very long time, you know.
Right. The funny thing about it is too is like he's like one of the most like flashiest guys in the NFL. Like he's known for like his pregame outfits and his shoes and his chains. Like I mean, he's up there with like Cam Newton, but he's also just the most humble guy. And like you said, you could tell he was raised right.
Who's your hater and loser of the week, Big Montana?
So I'm really surprised you didn't go with the MSNBC crew that broke down crying.
Look, I thought about that, but
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, I've used that Joe Biden and the left wing wacko so much.
I was going to go the people that are still talking about January 6th as if it was like the darkest day in American history.
I'm literally, I was thinking about January 6th yesterday, and I literally was shaking.
Yeah. I don't want to make anybody cry.
We don't want to be sensitive.
I don't want to upset Grub. So I'm going to stick to sports. My biggest hater and loser of the week is Norby Williamson. And we can just throw ESPN under the bus too. I've been reading about this. I'm not a huge Pat McAfee fan. I do think he's entertaining. I think he's a breath of fresh air. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people don't want him on game day, whatever. I enjoy watching his podcast. I enjoy hearing him banter with his crew. It's a lot like what we do. It's just like watching a game with the boys. It's very barstool. It's entertaining to me. But Pat McAfee just has the balls, and he is so powerful, and he knows his worth. And I love this. He called out one of his ESPN bosses, Norby Williamson, a rat on air, and said he was actively sabotaging the show. So for him to do that on air and talk about one of his bosses at ESPN knowing, hey, if they fire me, we'll just go to Spotify. We'll just go to wherever, like, you know, this show's rolling. I absolutely loved it. People at ESPN are so out of touch with the average American sports watcher. I don't care which way you lean politically. It's separation of church and state. We don't want to hear about politics, and we don't want everything to be woke or everything to be, you know, oh, it's so-and-so day in the NFL. You know, like, I'm tired of seeing, you know, in racism in the end zones. I'm tired of, you know, seeing, you know, oh, it's, you know, this cancer week or this, you know, whatever week.
My favorite one that they paint in the end zone is "It takes all of us."
Yeah, like,
what does that even mean?
Let's just watch sports. Sports is enough to unite everybody. It always has been. It united people in the 60s and 70s whenever these things were really important. And it's just, I mean, watch Remember the Titans. They made a movie about it. But for him just to basically just set his nuts on the table and say, hey, and what did ESPN do? They said, oh, we're going to handle this, you know, matter internally, AKA Pat, we're not going to do a thing. Norby, shut up. He's the only thing carrying our network right now. You just got to love it. And I loved how, you know, how guys who are good at what they do and successful, they're not scared of people that say bad things about them. I love it. So ESPN and Norby Williamson are my biggest haters and losers of the week.
Yeah, I didn't know that had happened. And then I was sitting in traffic somewhere Friday, I think, and I was literally stopped in traffic. So I pulled up Twitter while I was sitting there and saw that it came up, and listened to that little side segment. Sorry. And I mean, he wasn't afraid to say it. I mean, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Fire him? He'll get picked up by somebody else. So who
Yeah,
cares?
that's what I'm saying.
But that guy apparently has been. Didn't he release some numbers of their ratings that weren't exactly correct, and it painted the show in a bad light when that really wasn't true.
Right.
And there's also rumors that I think, and this guy released it, that Colin Cowherd's going to come back to ESPN when his contract's up, and there's several within the ESPN organization that want to replace McAfee with Colin Cowherd.
So in my opinion, ESPN has 4 employees that are literally carrying the company currently, and those are, in no particular order, it's Pat McAfee, Scott Van Pelt, JJ Redick, and Dan Orlovsky. Those are my 4.
I like Orlovsky.
Orlovsky's really good. It's just funny to see like you have these analysts that say something crazy, and then a guy that actually played the position and the sport for damn near 10 years comes in with logic, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," and he just completely shuts them down. JJ Redick does the same exact thing. Like, he has shut down Stephen A. Smith so many times.
Kendrick Perkins.
How did I say? What about Kendrick Perkins?
That's a bad example of a former player. He did get a ring in Boston though, so he's got a little piece in my heart. I probably forgot 1 or 2, but in my opinion, those are the 4 best ones, because you actually have 3 former athletes that know what they're talking about, and they shut up the people just trying to say something for clicks. And Scott Van Pelt's just the damn man. He's kind of like the last of that old guard where Sports Center was like worth watching. And
Scott and those guys, like, there's just not going to be those guys anymore. I mean, people cried when that man died. You know, like, he was like how people ended their day. You know, he was so special. Stuart Scott is too. I mean, Scott Van Pelt is too. I honestly don't watch Sports Center that much anymore, but if I do, it's that one.
Bad Beats is the best segment of all time.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It's I mean, for what Sports Center and ESPN is now, like, it's great.
Yeah.
Growing up, and
who were your employees? Because you acted like I diverted off track. You acted like you know who
I liked all 3. I wasn't even thinking about JJ Redick. I was going to say Van Pelt, McAfee, Orlovsky, and oh gosh, you made me draw a blank here, Harbin.
Male, female.
It's a male.
Former athlete, non-former athlete.
Oh, the guy with Van Pelt.
Oh, Stanford Steve.
Stanford Steve. God, I was seeing him in my head. I like him.
I kind of threw him in the boat with.
I got you. No, Van Pelt Sports Center at night is great. I just remember watching Sports Center when I was little, and you had the 2 big ones back then were Dan Patrick and now wacko Keith Olbermann. That dude's gone crazy. But you also had Stuart Scott, Rich Eisen, and then you had he's actually
I loved Butchergross and Levy.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, pretty good.
And then you had Carl Ravitch was on there. He's announcing now. Mike Tirico was on there when I was growing up. He's an announcer now.
I mean, I used to watch Sports Center on a repeat like 4 times. The same show. Like
and it was only 30 minutes, and it would come on over and over and over and over again all day long.
Yeah.
Stuart Scott doing NBA highlights is one of my favorite things from my childhood. Like, his recap of Kobe dropping 81. If you haven't seen that clip or you don't remember it, go look it up on YouTube. It's only about like a minute and a half, but he uses like 3 or 4 of his like big time catchphrases like back to back just perfectly. Like, it's awesome.
Harbin, you know who Craig Kilborn is?
That name sounds right.
So he was a Sports Center anchor, and he actually was in Old School.
Really?
So remember when they go to the birthday party and Luke Wilson goes into the bathroom during the birthday party, and the guy's in there washing his hands, but he catches him making out with some chick and he's married or engaged to the girl that Luke Wilson liked. That's Craig Kilborn. He was on Sports Center back in the day.
Oh,
that Norby guy also didn't like Stuart Scott, one of his lines or whatever, and he made a big deal about it at some board meeting back in the day, and everybody just told him to shut up about it because
What a loser! What a douche!
Stuart was so good. It wasn't the pillow one; it was something else.
Cooler than the other side of the pillow.
I'll piss on him.
Well,
Go
piss on him. Piss on him. You got any New Year's resolutions, Harbin, before we get out of here?
I am going to, in 2024, quit overreacting to bowl
Mike
games.
Talley.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to not acknowledge him in 2024. He is going to acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me.
I'm going to quit overreacting to bowl game stuff. I'm going to quit getting upset at November losses in college basketball. And if Tennessee baseball loses in March or April, I'm not going to act like the sky is falling. And
go ahead.
And I was trying to think of something for the Cowboys, but I got desensitized to them a while ago. I just hope San Francisco doesn't end their season for the third straight year. That might actually, I might not see 2025 if that happens. So,
by the way, you talked about Tennessee baseball. I drove by there this past week over at the stadium just to check out the construction, and it's really come along over there. I don't think it's going to be ready for this season, but that whole left field line has now got bleachers in it, so kind of filling in around. So it'd be cool to see what that looks like. I saw where it was funny. They put up a graph of average attendance in baseball, I think, last year in Tennessee. I mean, it was one of the lowest ones in the SEC, but it was like 4,300 per game. I mean, before Vitello came, they couldn't get 4,300 people to even think about coming to the game. It may have been 1,500 or 2,000, but
that was the total for the year.
Yeah, that's going to change as soon as this stadium's done. It's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully I get some tickets at some point because I put a deposit down for 2. So I think Day did as well. So hopefully we get those.
Here's something. This is random. But I would love for Tennessee to wear some throwbacks outside of the cream jerseys with the cursive. Bring back the vests, like Todd Helton era vests.
Yeah.
They're kind of ugly, but they're not, if that makes sense. Like they're like
good.
They're nostalgically ugly, if that makes sense.
Kind of like this hat I got on. That was Todd Helton era hat.
Yeah. Not a great hat, but it's nostalgic. So
this is a great hat.
It's okay. and like the, I don't know. That was a random thought. Bring vests back in 2024.
You know, Carter High School in 2002, we had vest baseball jerseys, and they were fantastic, and everybody hated them. I don't know why. So on, I think we played a home game district tournament my senior year, and I got to pick, and Coach Rimmer said, "Niece, it's your turn to pick." And I remember Chagrup, Travis Bell, and somebody else looking at me, and they knew what I was picking because they always wanted to wear green tops, pinstripe pants. And I said, we're wearing all white. And they were great. White jerseys, green lettering and numbers on them. You wore a green T-shirt or a long sleeve shirt under it. They were fantastic. Green and white, no black, no gray. Our hats were green and white.
What?
The way it should be. What?
While we're on the baseball topic, just completely random. The Arizona Diamondbacks need to go back to purple as their
that teal and purple or whatever it was.
Oh,
yes, they wore them a couple times as throwbacks this year. They just need to go back. those were so good.
And the Florida Marlins do too. Or sorry, Miami.
Yeah.
Their uniforms suck.
Man, just jerseys in general in the 90s. Like I'll say 90s. Or I mean like with the NBA, like ever since Nike has taken over the NBA jerseys, they've completely ruined them. Like some of these city edition jerseys are some of the god awfulest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you know me, I'm a big NBA guy. I know you aren't really big on the NBA, but the courts for that in-season tournament was probably the worst thing I've ever seen. And some of these jerseys, man, like just in general, like this like modernization and like simplistic shit, it looks ugly. Like it looks like something you could make in Microsoft Word in like 5 minutes. Like it's gross. Go
They're
back to like
bad. They're bad.
like the old school Mavs jerseys with the cowboy hat, the Jazz jerseys with the mountains on them, the Raptors with their little dinosaur on them. Like they were just good. They were good.
I flipped around and saw the Cowboys playing the Commanders today. How terrible are the Commanders uniforms?
Yep.
They will be the Redskins again in the next. I'm gonna say, I'll be conservative and say 4 years.
It's coming back at some point. I was talking this guy that works for us. He always older guy. Well, you all probably some of the people know him that listen to this show. Lefty, old umpire. He comes in every Saturday to the gym, and he's got a Washington Redskins jacket on. I mean, and it's from the 90s, and it's awesome. I love it. He always asks me, he's like, when are you going to get me one of them Parks and Rec jackets? I'm like, when you give me your Redskins jacket. Because that jacket is awesome. I remember my papa used to wear a Redskins jacket all the time. I was going to Carter High School last week for the, or a couple weeks ago for the Christmas tournament, and was stopped at the red light, and a guy in front of me had his spare tire on the back of his car, and it was a Washington Redskins tire cover on the back of the car. It was awesome. But you're right. That 70s sports account that's on Twitter, they posted something the other day. They're like, tell me these logos aren't better than today's logos. And it was all the NBA logos from the 80s, I think, like the 76ers, the Bullets, the Mavericks, Celtics were on there, obviously, the old Charlotte Hornets logo. I mean, they were great. And they just stink today. They just stink. Everything sucks now.
Yeah.
It does. It sucks. All right.
What's your resolutions, Nice?
To do more Zen.
Oh gosh.
I'm just kidding. No. My resolution is, I was thinking about this the other day. My papa used to do this, is to start burning some of my garbage. And my papa used to burn his garbage all the time. He'd have this big steel garbage can out in his backyard, and instead of going to the dump, which I like going to the dump, it's not as Andrew Taylor always said, going to the dump was a good networking opportunity, but you don't really sit in line anymore at the garbage dump because they've made it so easy to get in and out.
Yeah.
But and we'll start trying to, not all my garbage, but just start trying to burn some of my garbage here in the backyard. Try to help, stop trying to put it in the ground. I'll just send it up in the air.
Yeah.
I'm polluting the earth. I'm gonna pollute the earth one way or another, so I'll have to send it upward instead of in the ground.
What about you? What's new for you going into 2024?
I've got to stop cursing. I've got 2 kids. Griffin's out of hand. Lily knows what the words are now. And I don't use like the bad ones, but like shit fire and stuff like that. Got to cut that out of my life. I'm gonna grow a garden this year. Something little, just nothing big, but just a little patch with some maters out there. Get back to my roots a little bit. I think that's a tearing the earth with a shovel is a good humbling experience for a young man. I'd like to shed a few pounds, get rid of a couple honey buns here and there, and see if we can do that. And my big one is to not yell out of anger, whether it be at home or work or traffic. Just need to let some stuff just slide down the old back. Quit getting so worried about stuff. Those are mine.
Good resolutions. Well, hopefully we follow through with them.
Oh shit.
Mine was more of a joke. I don't really do resolutions. I don't know why. I've just never really done that.
I mean, you can wake up in May and decide like, hey, I'm gonna do this instead, you know.
Yeah.
Which I understand. I mean, it's a tradition and a fad, and people do it. The workout gyms are going to be extremely crowded for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, and then they're going to go back to normal until about March hits, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, I gotta get rid of this winter body,"
Yeah.
and then
For full season.
then they'll die off again, and that's just kind of how gym traffic goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm hoping some things in 2024 happen. I was talking to my uncle yesterday. I really hope in early April that I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Final Four. And I think this team has a legit shot to do it. If things fall their way and they play like they're supposed to, I think the Vols have every chance and opportunity to go to the Final Four. It's probably their best chance since 2019, obviously, but this could be one of their best chances ever to go to the Final Four. They just got to figure out how to finish it and do it. Just win the damn game. Just do it.
Hey, Montana, a thought just popped in my head. This actually may be the turning point for Tennessee basketball. I'm thinking about this. So the Farmer's Almanac and all the little woolly boogers and everything.
I've already picked my interest.
All right. Everything had showed signs that we were going to have an extremely harsh winter. Okay. And up until we were recording on January 7th, up until now, it has been an extremely mild winter. Okay.
Yes.
So nature is normally not wrong, and old farmers normally aren't either. So what I'm thinking is it's going to be harsh, but it's going to be very delayed winter.
Yes.
We're going to start getting hit in the next couple weeks, and it may actually go all the way into March this year. And I know one of your favorite catchphrases has been, when the grass starts growing, Rick Barnes forgets how to coach. So maybe with this delayed harsh winter, the grass will start growing later, and we will be a team of destiny this year. That is my prediction.
I can see the fescue coming in about April this year. And
Yes.
I think you might be on something, Harv.
Yeah. So that's go ahead and lock in your future bets for Tennessee to make the Final Four and maybe sprinkle a little bit of a national championship. Because we're going to have a delayed winter. We may have a blizzard of 93 on our hands. And if that's the case, we might win every tournament game by 20. UConn did this past year. So as long as we can delay mowing season, I think we're going to make a deep run this year.
I tell you what, I won't start my mower until they're done. That's what I'll tell you.
There you go.
Buffalo won, by the way, in case you're watching.
Yeah, Tua ended the game with an awful interception.
He threw a nice out route to Buffalo.
Yeah.
It looked like.
It's awful.
Hey, Harb, here in a couple weeks, we got the Royal Rumble coming up. Are you excited about that?
I'm extremely excited about that. I actually think because I work Saturdays now. I think I'm actually gonna move around my work schedule for that. As lame as that sounds.
Well, you might have to come over and watch it.
I'd love to watch it.
Have a big viewing party here.
Yeah, Brett and I have been talking about it a little bit. Marshall's not as interested as he once was, so he hasn't been watching as much. Which I don't watch the actual shows because I work while they're on 99% of the time. But I keep up with it and I know what's going on. And anything it's on TV, I'll watch it. Or I try to watch the big pay-per-views.
We need to set a menu so we all don't bring some type of chicken over to your house.
Yeah, I had a viewing party here for the bowl game, and I grilled chicken wings. Cruz brought chicken from Chick-fil-A. Bowling brought fried chicken from
Food City.
Food City, and then Burkhart brought buffalo chicken dip. So we had any type of chicken you wanted, it was here. So
I'm not gonna lie, that situation's pretty foul.
Oh, zing.
Hey, zinger.
all right, well, I'm wearing down here. So great to be back on the podcast. Hope everybody had a good Christmas and New Year's. We took several weeks off, so we should be back every week from here on out for a while. So glad to be back. Appreciate everybody listening. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, our YouTube channel. You can get us wherever you get your podcast at. I believe most people get them on Apple or Spotify, according to the analytics I get sent to me. So maybe I should bring back my or maybe next week I'll tell you about the Spotify Wrapped year-end wrap. You know how they did that thing?
Oh yeah.
They sent me that for the podcast. If I had more time, I'd read it to you, but maybe I'll bring that next week. So, well, fellas, appreciate you coming on. Day Vol, he had to go night already, but Harb, good to have you back. Big Montana, good to have you back. And we'll do it again next week on the YY8 podcast.